everyone, welcome to Emily Ask Everything Teenagers
And parents.
Need to Know in 2026.
26.
Thank you, Rachel, for coming to my podcast. I'm so honored and excited to have you here.
Me too. Thanks for inviting me.
Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
And I run a business called Biz Angels because every business needs an angel. These Biz Angels to go out and really make the first impressions when it comes to business relationships.
So you work a lot with first impressions?
All the time. Big part of my business, and really understanding how people make the most, the biggest effect based on these first impressions. It only takes 7 seconds.
Really?
Only 7 seconds. And the reality is only 55% of it is basically your appearance.
Oh, your appearance, the way you look.
55%, that's it. So imagine what the rest is.
Maybe the way you talk, the way you stand.
You got it. You got it. It's your posture, your tone of voice, right? And there's a confidence that comes and exudes from your energy based on when you walk into a room and you're meeting people face to face. It varies when you're online, but when you're face to face, it's really important, and people are picking up all their cues from all their 5 senses. So it's extremely, extremely powerful. And a lot of people say, oh, it's just what I look like. And that's actually incorrect.
Really?
Well, if it's 55% on just what you look like, you got to smell good, you got to look good, so you must look pristine and great.
You must look perfect.
Well, a lot of people put a lot of pressure on themselves to be perfect, especially when everyone else is looking perfect all the time on social media, right?
Right.
But it doesn't matter what age you are.
Well, this really comes into my first question is, what determines first impression, and how can you control it without faking who you are?
Well, this is a big conversation that nobody's talking about. You're not learning it in school. Yet when people go into new environments where they don't know the people in the room, that's the 1 minute that you have 7 seconds to make that first impression. And people are judging you based on a whole bunch of subconscious thought process. Are you trustworthy? Are you a good person? Are you a bad person? They could tell just by those 7 seconds or going through this evaluation. So when people come into the room, when you see people and they're faking it. They're too loud, they're too much. So confidence and, really coming in and making the most impact really has to be calm. Calm. So imagine if I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to you like this. Your experience with me is going to be very different than if I have a raspy voice and I'm talking like this, right?
Yeah.
So even the tone makes a huge impact about how people perceive you. Too hard.
People.
The ones that I see that are trying too hard, it's just like they're super loud, they're overconfident, and usually what it means is they're actually the most insecure.
Really?
And they're trying so hard to be seen by everybody else. Because the ones that are confident and confident in their self, they have a centered calmness that comes with it. And it's hard to see, and sometimes it's intimidating for these people, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever been in that situation where someone comes in, they're loud, they look really comfortable, and you maybe start analyzing yourself. How do I feel? How do I look compared to her?
They make you feel nervous.
Right.
Yeah. They're so loud, they scream.
Well, have you ever heard of this saying that people project how they feel?
Really? They do?
Absolutely.
I've never heard of that.
Well, this is a great thing to remember, right? That people will project the feelings that they actually feel. So if you felt nervous energy, that's the energy that they're projecting.
Oh.
So we have all this sixth sense of how we're energetically connecting with people, and the way people make you feel is a true indication of how they're going to connect with you, whether it's a positive, a negative, you're interested and warm and want to engage, or maybe sometimes if you're not, right?
Mm-hmm. Why do girls who please everyone actually lose a lot of respect?
So there's a big difference between pleasing everybody, they're kind of seen as weakness, right? They're just saying yes to everything that everyone asks. There is a weakness to it because if you're not valuing yourself, how it's really easy to see and take advantage of. So there's people that are bending over backwards, they're being in a situation, they're allowing themselves to be taken advantage of. And that means that they're really struggling with setting boundaries to just say no. Because when you start setting boundaries, you're protecting your own space and you're demanding respect from other people, right? And so it comes hand in hand. So there's a big difference of being kind and actually, being nice to people and actually saying yes all the time to people. And you see
Yeah.
that in your age group. It's so easy to be manipulated by groups of friends where everyone's saying yes, so you feel like, oh, I should say yes because everybody else does. There's a lot of
Sometimes
pressure.
it also comes from pressure, yeah, like you said, peer pressure, and how they all do it, so you also want to do it. So you
Yeah.
don't feel
Want
left
to.
out. You have
Yeah.
to set your boundaries at that moment.
That's where you value yourself.
Yeah.
So there's one thing about teenagers, and I remember when I was your age, it was very hard. It was very, there was a lot of pressure with like trying to be cool, trying to fit in. And the people that are able to say no and protect their own selves means that they have a very strong value system internally. And that usually comes from your parents and environment of what they are really teaching you of what's important in your life, and that should be the core. They're not teaching that in school. So it's so easy for people to really fluctuate between, should I say no? Should I stand up? Should I look like the person that speaks up and when I'm against everybody else saying one thing? And it's extremely difficult.
It is very hard.
No doubt. But you know what? Is it better to say yes and do something that doesn't feel right, or say no and feel that little discomfort for a short amount of time?
Better to say no, because you put out your boundaries and you have to be that strong person that values yourself before everybody else.
You got it. And what happens then? The people in the environment, they'll start saying, she's strong enough to do that. She must, and you'll start gravitating the people that weren't strong enough. Maybe they had weakness and they couldn't stand up for themselves. They kept quiet. They'll start gravitating to you because you are then a leader for them. And that's a power conversation to have and a power position to be in your teenage years, to really be the ones that are able to speak for the ones that don't have the confidence yet, because it takes time. It takes time. And confidence is built off of experience and competency, which means you need to practice. You need to do many things, experience many things, so that you can have the confidence in yourself to stand up in environments where there's other people involved, where you need to speak up, right? And that only comes with time and exercising a muscle. It's a muscle. It's an internal muscle you have.
Really?
Right? This confidence builder, absolutely. And it's all about mindset.
Everything's from your head. You
Absolutely.
decide.
Well, it's a little voice inside that you hear going, you're not good enough. Have you heard that before?
Yeah.
Everyone's heard that one before, and to have the power to shut that voice down and to say,
You
nope,
have to be very powerful.
extremely. And it takes a lot of practice. So, from my perspective, I wish I had parents that would help drive this behavior of doing things, feeling good, whether it be a sport, whether it be academic, whether it be just, a craft. If you do things and you complete it and you can feel good about yourself, that's that muscle that's going to give you the confidence to build those moments of time where you can be weak and you'll default to being strong because you've already built that foundation that's required.
That's a very interesting part to go over. People think you have to be strong, you have to take up the whole space, but now, as you're telling us, you actually have to be calm, you have to be quiet sometimes. You don't have to take the whole space, and you have to put your boundaries. Those are very important parts.
Most important. It's
how
how
and
is
people
yourself-
don't know it.
Yeah. And
Should
no one's
people-
talking about it.
Yeah.
So I love that you're talking about it
Yeah,
right now.
it's important. It's so important for everybody.
And it really comes down to one thing, self-respect,
Self-respect. Yeah.
right? And self-love.
Yeah. But not everybody has that yet, so it takes some time.
It does take time, and not everybody has a beautiful, loving family that can
Yeah.
help understand that that's really important. But you know what? Everybody wants it.
Everybody does.
Everybody wants it. And the kids that are the bad kids in school and the ones that are loud and trying too hard are the mean kids. Those are the ones that are missing it the most.
But they try really hard to act like they don't care.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's a cover-up, right? Because imagine if you're not loved, you don't want anyone else to feel the way you feel. So that's how they're projecting. That's that lack of love because they're not getting it. So remember that. I love that we started the conversation with emotions, and emotions are a huge indication of how people feel. And this is going to tell you how other people are feeling based on how they make you feel.
That's very interesting. How can you tell the difference between a real conversation and an act? And how can you build confidence that doesn't depend on other people's validation?
So there's a lot of people on this planet. If you're going out into every environment expecting you're going to be everyone's friend, newsflash, time to give yourself a reality check. It's not going to happen, right? There's always going to be someone with an opinion that may or may not match you. And here's a question that I love to tell people. When you talk to people, are you talking about yourself? Or are you talking about them? Or inquiring about them? How are you connecting with the other person? So when you ask that question, which is super valid, I like to tell people, if you are trying to connect with people authentically, show interest, because there's one human behavior we all are dying for, and it's to be heard and listened to. Which means if I'm talking to you, I know this is an interview, but normally I would ask you a lot of questions about yourself. And those questions should not be yes or no questions. So there's a difference between open-ended questions and just questions that are yes or no. You know, if I ask you, did you have breakfast this morning? You're going to say yes or no, right? But if I ask you, what did you have for breakfast this morning? It gives you the opportunity to start talking. And these are called open-ended questions, which are a great way to connect with people. And the more the other person speaks, the more they feel heard and seen. And this will help the connection. So the people that don't ask and don't inquire and don't give an opportunity for mutual conversation back and forth, they're just talking all the time. I'm sure you've seen the people, they come into a conversation like these typical loud people. Let me talk about me. I did this, I'm bragging, I went here, I went there. How do you feel?
Not comfortable. Like they're trying too hard to push themselves out there.
It's not authentic. Something's wrong,
Yeah.
right? And do you feel like you've been heard?
No.
No. So I've been doing sales for 30 years. I've seen it on all different levels. And a lot of the training that I do, I train a lot of sales people in general. And sales, are they teaching that in your school?
No.
No.
They should, I think.
They should be teaching it in every school because it's a skill, a soft skill that people need in the world, the real world, once you get out of school. But you even need it in school, whether you're talking and selling yourself to a teacher to give you a good grade, you know, based on your effort, where you're selling yourself to a new group of friends, you know, when you start doing an activity after school. This is, the sales has been this negative idea only about business, but it's actually about how people like you. How likable are you, you know? And it all comes down to how you sell yourself. And this is a big part of connecting with people, you know? So asking the right questions is key. Able to connect with them, right? So.
Yeah.
I wish we'd replace the word sales with connection, because that's really the key here. And I love it. I'm passionate about how humans connect with each other, right? And so if you could be more powerful, and if I could help kids your age be more powerful in that connection, you know, be more successful, they're going to have better relationships. Because you guys have the digital devices that we never had as kids.
But it does sometimes actually take us away from people, like, because it's so interesting and every second we have something new, then it actually pulls us away from people, because people get less interesting to talk to. So we prefer to be on screens. So at the same time, it could be good, but it can also be very harmful for the brain.
Well, it's absolutely, and you're seeing that now with the government stepping in and really trying to help, you know, different countries and how we relate to this. It's very new technology, so your generation is really like the crash test dummies of how it's going to affect you. But you're right, it's easier to go onto social media and see what's going on, and what do you see? You see everyone looking beautiful all the time.
That's right. And it can be really hard, actually. It can make you build more insecurities instead of build your confidence.
Where a whole bunch of hormones, your body's changing so drastically. You're like, what's going on, right? And you become really emotional, right? Your emotions are on high, but emotions are a gift. If you start tuning into them and understanding their frequency and how to use them effectively, they really could be a gift. But there's no doubt, it's not affecting only your age, it's affecting everybody. If any person, this generation, in this world, is sitting on social too much, comparing themselves to everybody else that's only seen in the best, you know, time of their life, right? Because we're only seeing the good stuff. We're not seeing the bad stuff.
Yeah.
So we're comparing all their good stuff to our bad stuff, and it's not comparing apples to apples. So what happens is that people don't feel good. It's tapping into that insecurity and that little voice coming in, right? That, oh, you'll never have blonde hair if that's what, you know, is interesting for you, you know? It's excruciating because it's causing a lot of pain. And there's no doubt, number one, if the more the kids are on screens and seeing this competition, you know, it's a confidence, you know, killer. That's really what it is. So just understanding that the more you look, the more you're going to not feel good.
Yeah, that's really sad because people think, oh, being on your phone is good because you can learn from it. And of course, it's good to have knowledge. But at the same time, it's also bad because it actually harms your confidence.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you don't have confidence, what do you think happens?
Well, you're just going to be sad all the time and you're going to compare yourself to everybody you see, which is not good. It's very bad.
So you know any friends that are isolating themselves, not talking, not going out?
Yeah, a lot of people do that actually nowadays, and it's actually really sad to see.
Yeah, it's a big problem right now with teenagers. Like they're isolating because they're not comfortable. They're not comfortable in their own skin,
Yeah.
right?
And this is all about puberty because they grow up so fast and they have so many hormones and they don't like recognize themselves anymore because they're this whole new person like woke up and they have a new body and everything's so different that they don't recognize themselves and they feel an alien in their own body, which can be really, really hard to deal with.
Yeah, that's why I love that you're talking about this because I remember when I was 14 years old, if I only had, we looked up to the older kids. We're like, oh, we glorified the older kids. We didn't want to listen to anything our parents said, right?
Yeah.
Because parents don't know anything. We're smarter than our parents at this age, or at least we thought so, right? When you're around 30s, you'll wake up and then go, oh, I'm so sorry. You actually were pretty smart and trying to help me. But in the meantime, at 14, and you're till your mid-20s, you're really kind of like, I know everything. And so it's really hard to navigate that if you don't have the right leaders and role models to help you.
Yeah.
And so you're right. These kids, now today, I'm sure there's plenty of kids, they're stuck on the device, they're not feeling secure, they don't have the confidence needed to go and engage with new people. So what do? And when you take away the screen and say, you gotta go to the party, I'm taking you out to my friends, we have a holiday to attend, how do they act?
Well, they actually act irrational and they think that's not fair and they're always bored. And when they come to sit with someone like we're doing now, they're going to think this is so boring. I'd rather be on my phone like a TikTok. Why am I here? Why am I looking at this? Why am I talking with this person? Why am I not on my phone? But that's actually not good.
They're disengaged.
Yeah.
And they're also so uncomfortable in their own skin
Yeah.
is the problem. So they're angry. They're projecting anger because they're scared. They're scared. And if your child is feeling fear because they're having a lot of anxiety going into new environments, the screen is definitely one of the biggest issues right now that you guys have to engage and try to figure out a solution. But this is what's happening. And it's not new information. It's very clear of what these digital devices and the social is doing to teenagers today. And it's really concerning.
It is.
So let's figure out what to do. Let's find out the solution. What to do that you can do if your kid is having problems like this, not wanting to engage, not, being angry, being pissed off, because really at the root of it, I always have a lot of empathy and compassion because I understand the way they're projecting is how they feel. So they're feeling scared. So now what are the right tools?